Brazil was one of the allies of World War II. It was also the only ally from South America to provide troops. The country made significant contributions to the war effort. They sent an expeditionary force to fight alongside the Allies in the Italian campaign. The Brazilian Navy and Air Force helped the Allies in the Atlantic from 1942 until the end of the war in 1945. So why did Brazil join Second World War? In this video, we explain. Brazil was under no pressure to join the war. Dean Acheson talks a lot about the economic pressure applied to Brazil in his memoirs. Before the US entered the war, it was already in the war in all but name only, including shooting at German warships. A lot of people act like it wasn't a foregone conclusion. Just read some of the behind-the-scene dealings from the Board of Economic Warfare and you'll understand. First, a little bit about this. The US and Britain basically told all of the critical raw material suppliers, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Venezuela, Mexico, Chile, that if they in any way sent a single drop of supplies to the Axis, they'd be permanently cut off from global trade until the US and Britain decided they'd ever be permitted to trade again. This didn't go over well. But let's face it, these were the Nazis, fascists, imperialists we're talking about. So, the ww2, which changed names about a half dozen times, was tasked with explicitly collapsing the economies of Japan, Germany and Italy at any cost. Part of its ability came from its war powers granted authority to buy up every bit of vital materials from other countries at reasonable prices in exchange for lucrative investments in their infrastructure. Brazil secured intellectual and monetary investments in its metal industries. Training and loans is needed. The carrot part of it was the statement that if they shipped anything to the Axis they were done. The rod. They didn't have much choice. While none were pressured explicitly to join the war. Because the US had bought bases on the coast of Brazil to patrol the oceans and because the US and UK positioned the Brazilians to ship all of their goods north to the Allies. The Germans began targeting them during unrestricted submarine warfare. This caused a lot of upset by the Brazilian public who weren't aware of the backroom dealings by the Allies. Likely the Brazilian military was just as angry at the US and UK but couldn't say without impugning themselves. But despite being a dictatorship, Brazil could not allow its navy and merchant marine to be attacked without response. So, in the end, the world was a chessboard and the US moved Brazil around until such a time as it could not avoid declaring war on Germany. The alternative was to remain neutral, which didn't solve the problem of Germans targeting Brazilian ships or satiate the public demand for recompense for the lost lives. B. Go totally isolationist and collapse the economy and likely have the US and UK find a military upstart to topple the dictatorship, or C. Declare war on the Allies and join Germany and Japan. Lose at the price of razed cities and then having their leaders executed. Brazil made the smart decision. It wasn't like the Brazilian Navy or Merchant Marine had any capacity to bypass the USN and RN and get its ships to Germany. It wasn't like Germany or Japan had the hard currency to buy the shit anyway. The US did, and as the Battle of the Atlantic was finally concluded, there was significant profit in selling raw materials to the Allies and sending some puny forces to help in Europe.